overcast, humid 80-degree day in Miami with a chance of rain later on this afternoon for this meeting of the Houston Oilers and the Miami Dolphins. And a sellout crowd, better than 73,000 on hand, and they have been revved up right throughout the pregame introductions. Dan Marino coming off a strong performance against Buffalo on Monday night, gunning to pick apart the Houston secondary, while Cody Carlson takes over for the injured Warren Moon, and he hopes to successfully engineer the run and shoot. Miami at 7 up, 3 down, trailing Buffalo by 1 game. Houston with a record of 6-4, and they're 1 game behind AFC Central Division leading Pittsburgh. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Bill Parcells. And, Bill, this game of enormous significance for both clubs, the type of game that could turn the rest of the season up or down.
Well, that's exactly right, Marv. But Don Shula said, hey, we're back right where we've been for the last 4 years. We're back chasing Buffalo. Now, Houston, they've already lost to Pittsburgh twice, so they're chasing Pittsburgh. Now, not that either of these teams couldn't win the division, but this game looks to have wild card ramifications. And, Bill, with Warren Moon out with the broken arm, the starting quarterback for Houston is Cody Carlson in his 6th NFL season out of Baylor. Now, over the years, he's done well in filling in for Moon, but now he is the starter. How difficult will it be for Carlson to run the run and shoot? Well, it's a little different, but Carlson does have enough experience in this offense, being with it for 3 years. You would expect he'd be familiar with it. On the other hand, he knows now he's the starter, and he has to take the Oilers the rest of the way. And when you have to do that, you usually find out whether you're a potential starter for good or still a backup quarterback.
And the Houston Oilers won the toss, and they will receive. It was about 1.5 years ago that Cody Carlson said he was fed up with holding a clipboard on the sideline, said he wanted to be traded, and he was offered to Detroit for Andre Ware. The Lions said no, and then Carlson accepted a new 2-year contract with Houston, and here he is, the potential starter the rest of the season. Warren Moon said to be out anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. And there is Warren. Broke his left arm last week in the victory over Minnesota. The kickoff by Pete Stoyanovich, and it is a good one. Spencer Tillman will stay right there. So here comes Cody Carlson and that Houston offense. And this is an offensive line that had problems last week against the Vikings. And there the Fab Four, or now with the addition of Webster Slaughter, as they are calling them in Houston, the Slaughterhouse Five. Lorenzo White is the lone D-back. He is the number 3 rusher in the AFC coming into today. So the center, Bruce Matthews, leads the Oilers to the line. That is 89 Slaughter in motion. And Carlson with the short drop goes down the field, as he told us yesterday he would try to do from time to time. Well, that's one of the things that the Miami defensive coordinator Tom Olivadotti was concerned with, that Moon had been kind of throwing short, but that Carlson had a chance to go down the field a little more with the ball, and that did concern them coming in. And Carlson looking at this front 5 alignment. David Griggs, a linebacker, moving to the left defensive end position. And the 6 defensive backs utilized by the Dolphins. It is a 2nd down and 10 from the 20. We're just underway at Joe Robbie Stadium. Carlson getting the time, now goes short range, and it's caught by the running back, Lorenzo White. And he was being covered by Brian Cox, who has had a terrific season. Brian Cox, with 10 sacks, has emerged as one of the top pass rushers in the National Football League. And he's got a big job today, because on 1st and 2nd down, he's going to be kind of playing the middle linebacker, and then on 3rd down, he becomes one of the 4-down rushers, and it's a big job for Cox today. As a matter of fact, if he were to get hurt, I don't know that the Dolphins have another guy that could do both of those jobs. The crowd urging the Dolphin defense on 3rd down 5 at the 25. Carlson goes the other side. He was off the mark, intended for Lorenzo White.
Lorenzo White, you know, as we were talking to both the Dolphin players and the Oiler players, Lorenzo White's name just kept coming up yesterday. You know, the offensive team wants to get the ball to White. They throw a little high right here. And the Dolphins feel like that's not their number one priority defensively. We got to stop Lorenzo White, both running and catching.
So it's 3 and out, and here's Greg Montgomery, who leads the NFL in punting average at about 48 yards per punt. Tony Martin is back. He muffs it. Loose ball. And it's recovered by Houston. Mike Dumas on the recovery. Well, Tony Martin has had his difficulties this season, but that time, back in punt formation, he muffed the punt.
The ball just went right down through his arms. It didn't look like mechanically there was anything wrong with his approach, or he didn't really reach for the ball. He seemed to be centered well, but apparently it just got through his arms, and Mike Dumas comes up with a big play for the Oilers.
Well, the Miami Dolphins, as Don Shula pointed out yesterday after practice, have had all kinds of problems with fumbles and muffs, and it has hurt them the last few weeks. Dolphins, after that 6-0 start, have struggled. They've dropped 3 of the last 4. Another opportunity now for Houston. First down at the Miami 39-yard line. Here's White with a cutback reaching inside the 35, met by the right defensive end, Marco Coleman.
Well, the Dolphins are starting off playing a 6-back defense with Brian Cox, the 1 linebacker, and 4 down linemen, but Lifford Hobley, their safety man, is kind of acting like a linebacker. So in reality, the Dolphins are starting with like a 6-man defense there, and Houston is able to run it in there for 6 yards on first down with Lorenzo White.
It's a 2nd and 4 at the 33. 81 Gibbons in motion, lined up in the slot. Carlson going that direction, but he finds Curtis Duncan and has a first down. He was covered by the left corner, Troy Vincent.
That's one of the things, though, that's been affecting the Oiler offense, those short catches to the wide receivers. A lot of the receivers are reading and then winding up stationary as they catch the ball, and that's the reason that their reception average over the year is down, because when you catch it on the run, you have a chance to gain a lot more yards than when you catch it stationary.
And as you see, Jeffries, Duncan, and Gibbons are the top 3 receivers in the AFC, led by Hayward Jeffries, who had 100 catches a year ago. First down at the 28, back to the ground, and White picks his way inside the 25-yard line. He was stopped by Brian Cox.
Well, there you see those receivers average, you know, and Jeffries down from 13 to 9, Duncan down just a little bit, Gibbons down 5 yards a catch, and Harrison, of course, Slaughter, you really can't count him because he hasn't been with the Oilers that long. But one of the reasons for that average drop is the defenses are making the Oilers read and stop in between those soft zones.
2nd down and 6. White cutting back. Beautiful move by Lorenzo White. Reaching close to the marker, stopped by the strong safety Lifford Hobley. Lorenzo White is a local product, has a home in Fort Lauderdale. In fact, visited his house yesterday.
Well, Lorenzo White's name kept coming up, as I said, and Cody Carlson was very adamant in the fact that, hey, we've got to get the ball to Lorenzo White. Screens, little flat passes, and the running game. He says, when we do that, offensively, something happens.
And so Lorenzo also took teammates Leonard Harris and Hayward Jeffries with him. And Lorenzo's mom took the soul food meal for all 3. It is a first down as Ernest Gibbons makes his first catch of the day, covered by Troy Vincent. So the Oilers getting a break off that muff on the punt return by Tony Martin. Able to get another opportunity, and they are taking advantage. They have a first down at the 14-yard line.
Well, I think as in years past, the Oilers' offense was always termed like a big play offense, but what you're seeing here now, and there's their offensive coordinator, Kevin Gilbride, you're seeing a ball control offense. You're not seeing a wide open down the field passing game. It's short passes and runs and screens to Lorenzo White.
Out of the 14, Carlson with the draw for White. Dolphins saw it coming, but White was able to pick up some yardage. Jeff Cross, the left defensive end, made the stop.
This is a little draw play that the all run and shoot offenses have. White stepping to the right, and they slip it to him, and then he's just running to daylight. Jeff Cross, number 91, reads it well and is able to make the play. But Miami's defense now, they're just playing to hold Houston to 3 here, trying not to give them the touchdown. But Houston's been very good in the red zone the past few games.
Houston second down and 6 outside the 10. No score with 9:35 remaining in this opening quarter. Carlson took a hard hit. As he made the turn, he was rocked by Lifford Hobley.
Well, you see both linebackers, Cox and Hobley, who's really a safety, but he's playing linebacker, and Houston can't pick them all up, and he gets a free shot on Carlson, and that's the kind of defensive play that Miami needs to knock Houston out of this drive.
Lifford Hobley, a player who came back from missing all of last season with an injured knee, coming up with a big play. Third down, 15, back at the 19-yard line. Screen pass for White. White inside the 10, short of the first down. Stopped by Jarvis Williams. He went for 11.
That's, of course, the screen pass that the run and shoot offenses all feature, and it was a good play call by Jack Pardee and his staff because it ensures field goal range. And now they bring on Del Greco, who's been pretty successful this season. You see 13 for 17.
This will be a 24-yard attempt for Al Del Greco, who is a one-time Miami Dolphin, although for a brief period. This is second year with the Houston Oilers. From 24 yards away, Greg Montgomery puts it down, and Houston to the early lead. It's the Oilers 3 and the Dolphins nothing. Turned 36 this past Wednesday, although Bill, he said he feels like he's 46. Hey, what's wrong with 46?
Well, there's nothing wrong with 46 or 56 for that matter, Marv, but you know, Moon's taken quite a few shots here the past few weeks, and there you see his arm in that I don't know whether you want to call it a sling, but they're keeping it close to his body to protect that shoulder he got hit last week up in Minnesota.
He said he feels he's actually been fortunate injury-wise throughout his career. Also feels that it's fortunate that it was not his right arm, that is the non-knowing arm, and it's said that he'll be out 3 to 6 weeks. Well, Moon's Oilers off to a 3-0 lead. The kickoff from Del Greco. Mike Williams is back with Bernie Pamela, and it's Williams on the return. Good coverage by Houston on the second-year player out of Northeastern. 7:57 to go. First quarter. Houston up 3-0.
Schuler over there talking to his defense. You know, they held him 3 and out, then the fumble punt, then they held him to a field goal. So he's pretty happy with the way his defense started, Mark.
And a look at the offense. Bert Widener continues as the starting center because of the sprained knee and ankle suffered by Jeff Ulenek, missing again this week. Richmond Webb bothered by an ankle problem, but he is in the starting lineup. Mark Dennis starting at right tackle. We'll see Jeff Dellenbach later on. Mark Higgs, Tony Page, the running back with Dan Marino and Dupert, Clayton, and Jackson are the receivers. When they go to the orange, Humphrey comes in along with the extra receiver in Martin. First down at the 22. And it's Higgs getting across the 25-yard line. The 5'7", 195-pound Mark Higgs, very tough to haul down, and that will be the assignment of this group. Fuller, Childress in the starting lineup with Doug Smith out of action. Jones at the right defensive end. Lathan, Al Smith, Robinson are the linebackers. Dishman, Gray, McDowell, and Robertson in the secondary when they go to what Jim Eddy, the defensive coordinator, calls the spider. Tony Brown and Steve Jackson check in. It's a 2nd and 6 at the 26-yard line. Houston 3, Miami nothing. 7:15 to go. First quarter. Marino with his first pass incomplete, intended for Mark Clayton, covered by Jerry Gray.
Well, one of the things that Houston defensive coordinator Jim Eddy told us, he tried to give the appearance of a loose coverage and get Marino to audible a little bit. And, you know, you see Gray rolling up into it. He read that pretty well. So really, he got Marino to throw that away. And there's Jim Eddy giving the defensive signals right now. But the most interesting matchup to me on defense for the Oilers today is Bubba McDowell against Keith Jackson. That's going to be a key matchup.
Yes, we had a long chat regarding that matchup yesterday with Bubba McDowell. Was not necessarily looking forward to it. Bobby Humphrey now in the backfield for Miami, as Marino fires intended for Humphrey. He was covered by Lamar Lathan. Now, going into today, Miami has scored 8 times on its opening drive of the game. That is the best record in the NFL. 7 touchdowns, 1 field goal on opening drives, and they will not do it right here.
That's the thing that a lot of good offensive teams do. I know back in the 80s when San Francisco was very good offensively, that was one of their trademarks. They would get the ball and Joe Montana would drive them quickly for a score.
And being driven back for protection, a good portion of this crowd with the rain beginning to fall. The punt by Roby, a beauty. Slaughter able to recover. Here's Webster Slaughter across the 30-yard line. A 57-yard punt and a 15-yard return. Yes, the Florida skies have opened up. We'll be right back. Back at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, there's Cody Carlson getting set to lead his club on this drive from the 31-yard line. Cody Carlson had his best career game back in December of 1990, starting for the injured Warren Moon, threw 3 touchdown passes, including this one to Ernest Givens. Oilers beat the Steelers 34-14. That clinched a spot in the playoffs. Carlson going 22 of 29 for 247 yards. He was NFL Player of the Week, but not as effective the following week in that opening round of the playoffs.
Well, he had a pretty good game against us in the second half against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, but the Oilers missed a field goal right at the end. It cost them that one.
First down for 31, a fake, and it's Givens on the reverse, and that did not work. Ernest Givens coming around the right side, but Brian Cox was right there.
Well, Brian Cox is, I think, quietly becoming maybe the top featured Dolphin defensive player. You know, he's the guy that's playing the linebacker today. He's also used as a pass rusher. He's a very versatile athlete. He never comes off the field. And Tom Olivadotti, Miami's defensive coordinator, say, I don't know whether we could play without this guy right now.
It's a 2nd and 9 at the 32. 81 Givens comes to the slot on the left. Carlson facing pressure. And he runs it to the 38-yard line.
Well, one of the interesting things that I noticed in looking at the tapes on Houston's offense is how many times that Carlson will roll one way and then look back to the other side like he's doing here. He rolled to his right that time, and then about 75% of the time, he's really trying to throw back to the left-hand side. But that time, the Dolphins had it covered well and were on those backside receivers, so he was forced to scramble.
I guess they looked at the same tapes.
Well, they may have, because that's kind of the throwback zone.
It's a 3rd down and 2 at the 39, 5:25 remaining. First quarter, Houston 3, Miami nothing. Jeffries has a first down. Haywood Jeffries extending to make the catch, his first of the day, covered by the right corner, J.B. Brown.
And there's another one of those stationary passes. Of course, they only needed 2 yards, but you see Jeffries just working and stopping there really in the spot, and, you know, can't do much after the catch. But on a short yardage thing like that, that is a good style of pass route to employ to pick up the first down.
And it's a first down at the 48-yard line. Last Sunday at the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Oilers beat the Vikings to end a 2-game losing streak. Houston players thought it was their best defensive game in several years. And a very important win, because this club was really struggling. Now they're 6-4 and back into the picture. Gibbons for another Houston first down. Ernest Gibbons going sideline, picks up 12.
Well, that was a little bootleg there that was pretty well defensed on the front by the Dolphins. They kept Carlson in containment, but he was able to elude the rush there and get the ball to Gibbons. Now, it looks like to me, and watching Miami's defensive scheme here to start the game, they're kind of going one-on-one on the outside receivers and trying to do a little something double coverage-wise, or having somebody lurk in the middle there to pick up those inside slot receivers.
Carlson is 6 of 8, 47 yards. First down at the Miami 40. White is slowed down, but able to keep going. Lorenzo White churning away, making the turn, and then run out by the rookie from Wisconsin, Troy Vincent.
Well, Lifford Hobley had a shot on him right on the line of scrimmage, but that matchup is not great because, you know, Hobley being a safety type player, coming up against a big strong back like that, he had him right on the line of scrimmage, but he wasn't able to get him down, and as a result, White picked up 5 yards. Now, this is the kind of thing that Houston just loves to do. You know, 5 on first down, 6 on second down for the first down, and then they start over.
Houston second down and 5. Carlson has completed 5 straight for 43 yards. Second and 5 down at the 35 in Miami territory. Draw play. White with the fake to the right, left, and another nice-looking run, getting down to the 25-yard line. Cox and Hobley made the stop. 10 more for Lorenzo White. 6 carries for Lorenzo for 34 yards.
Well, right now, Houston is starting to execute the game plan kind of the way they want to. You know, they were saying yesterday, hey, we got to get Lorenzo White going. And he is going right now, 34 yards. There you see Ernest Gibbons down, and that would be a big loss if the Lawyers lost Gibbons.
Way back before the Pathfinders, before the Explorers, even before the Cherokees, there was Blazer. Now the first sport utility vehicle of its kind offers you all this and the performance of a 200 horsepower V6. You can spend thousands more on something else, but there's only one way to get the experience of a Chevy Blazer, the vehicle that originated the species.
Always rehearse my presentation in front of the bedroom mirror.
Who would know better how to make business travelers feel at home than Holiday Inn? That's why more of them stay with us. Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know who really knows you.
When life turns up the heat,
Can they start the wedding without me?
This shouldn't take long, honey.
nothing protects you like Degree antiperspirant. It's body heat activated to release extra protection. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
Strong. To win, you've got to be smart. Maybe you can be one of us, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Well, Ernest Gibbons was injured on that run. You see Bryant Cox, number 51 for the Dolphins, coming over and rolling right up on the back of Gibbons' right ankle there. And fortunately, Gibbons' foot was up in the air a little bit. He didn't have it planted, or he could have lost the knee there. But it looks like he just rolled up on his ankle, and Gibbons looks to be kind of okay walking off the field.
And, you know, he wants to get back into it. He lives in St. Petersburg, Florida, bought 55 tickets for friends and relatives for today's game. He has been replaced by Leonard Harris. The Oilers have a first down at the Miami 24-yard line. They lead 3-0 on a 24-yard field goal by Del Greco. Oilers have been very successful this season in the first quarter. 89 Slaughter in motion. Just under 3 minutes to go in this first quarter. And the completion out of the 21-yard line to Harris, who had just checked in. Vesty Jackson made the stop. Reminder, coming up next on most of these NBC stations, more NFL football, some of you will see the 7-3 Denver Broncos against the Los Angeles Raiders. Others will check out the Jets and the New England Patriots. Check your local listings. Gibbons just had his ankle taped. And the indication is that he will make his return. It's a second down and 7 at the 21. 83 Harris now in motion. Lorenzo White again with a big hole and a burst for a first down, refusing to go down. Lorenzo White to the 6-yard line.
Well, I know I've said it about 4 or 5 times as the game's gotten underway here, but this is the key guy in the game offensively for the Oilers. The Oilers know it. The Dolphins know it. And, you know, if the Dolphins aren't able to do a better job on White, particularly on the running game, then it's going to be a long day for their defense. Now, look for them to start maybe mixing up and challenging that front line a little bit more with maybe Brian Cox blitzing in one of these gaps up front and trying to make it a little bit more of a penetrating scheme.
Vesty Jackson shaken up on that run by White. Lorenzo White going for 15 more, 7 carries, 49 yards. Vesty Jackson in his 7th year out of the University of Washington. Lorenzo White off to a terrific start. And when we resume, it'll be a 1st and goal at the 5-yard line.
Well, Vesty Jackson being down, you know, if it was a regular game and you weren't playing against these 4 wide receivers, a coaching staff can sustain this kind of injury and, you know, put the backup in. But when you've got 6 defensive backs starting already and you lose one of your guys that's in the key, you know, the key to your defensive plan like Vesty Jackson is today, it's difficult to fill in. And you know, you lose 1 or 2 more, and then you don't have enough people to play the defense you want to play. You have to go back to the 4 defensive back system, and if they have to do that, the Oilers will have a field day passing.
On the subject of injuries, we're told Ernest Gibbons did sprain his ankle, but it is expected that he will return. Vesty Jackson being helped off the field. 3-0 Houston with just under 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Capacity crowd 73,000 on hand here at Joe Robbie for the 2nd straight week. The Dolphins have sold out in time for the local television blackout to be lifted, selling out last Monday night when they played the Buffalo Bills. Cody Carlson is 7 of 9. He's hit his last 6. 51 yards in all in the air. Carlson throwing for the end zone for Jeffries. Leaping. Touchdown. He just did get in and did it in front of J.B. Brown.
Well, that was just one of those cases where Jeffries is just a little taller than J.B. Brown, and Carlson just put that ball up there for him, and it was a jumping contest, and Hayward Jeffries came down with it. See Carlson just raising up quickly and just throwing the ball right out there. And hey, both of the guys are there. Brown's there, Jeffries is there, but Jeffries is a little taller, his arms are a little longer, and he's just able to pull it down. And it's a physical mismatch sometimes on the corner. And
he does have the long arms. Great reach for Hayward Jeffries, who is able to collar his 7th touchdown of the season. Now the point after attempt by Del Greco. So another good start here in the first quarter for the Houston Oilers. They jump in front 10-0. 9 plays, 69 yards, and they consumed 5:28.
Well, the Oilers couldn't have hoped for a better start, and you know, there's Jeffries lined up working against J.B. Brown there, and the ball's just thrown. They're both there. They're both jumping, and he just out jumps them for the ball. And of course, everybody on the Oiler bench would be pretty happy about that. And there's a guy that's especially happy, Warren Moon. And hey, the Oilers couldn't have hoped for a better start here. 10-0 on the road. The Dolphins have only had the ball 3 plays.
Bill, I know you mentioned on NFL Live in your talk with Bob Costas the major concern of Don Shula, a game like this, coming off a situation Monday night they play so well and lose in an important game to Buffalo, and it's difficult. Of course, a long way to go. We're first quarter, late first quarter, but it's so difficult. And you've experienced this, so difficult to get your club going.
I think it's the most difficult thing from a psychological standpoint for a coach to deal with. That is, your team plays very well, and particularly against your biggest rival, Buffalo, who's been their biggest rival for 4 years. You play well, you have a chance to win the game, but a couple little things go against you. The turnovers there in the second half, and you lose. Now, regrouping psychologically from that loss is tough, but hey, they lose today. They're on the road to New Orleans. They've got San Francisco coming up. You know, this could be a 4-game losing streak instead of a 1-game losing streak. So the Dolphins have got to rally back pretty quick here.
Dolphins have had the ball only 3 plays, 71 seconds of this first quarter. Well, one of the up men, Tony Page, able to field that kickoff. Joe Bowden made the stop. On the subject of that difficult schedule, well, look at the last few weeks for Miami. They dropped 3 of the last 4, and now following today at New Orleans, at San Francisco, followed by home games against the Raiders and the Jets, and they finish up against the Patriots.
Well, that at New Orleans and at San Francisco, those are the two that look like to me, you know, right now to be the formidable opponents. So, you know, if they don't get this one today, you know, they're looking down the wrong barrel for a while.
It's a first down at the 26-yard line, and Higgs got the call. First penalty flag of the game. So we'll hear from the veteran referee, Gordon McCarter, in his 26th NFL season. There's Gordon trying to dig things out. And it's against Houston.
Offside, the right defensive end lined up in the neutral zone. 5 yards, repeat first down.
There he is right there, the right defensive tackle, right defensive end. Oh, excuse me, right there. The right defensive end offsides, and that's number 97, Lee Williams, just in that encroachment zone there.
Well, the tackle is just to the left. Mark Higgs on the handoff, and Lee Williams made the stop. It'll be a 2nd down and 4 at the 32 with 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Well, the rain came early, then stopped, and it looks like it is about to resume. We mentioned right at the start that there was a chance of a shower this afternoon. About 80 degrees, a very humid day here in the Miami area. And Marino has not been able to get much going here in this first quarter. Miami has not had the ball. Higgs makes the turn, and he has the first down. Stopped by the right corner, Jerry Gray.
Well, this is going to bring the quarter to the end, but this is what the Dolphins want to get going here. Established Higgs on the run, and then they get the ball to Jackson, Duper, and Clayton.
On to the second quarter here in Miami. And it's the Houston Oilers with a 10-0 lead on the Miami Dolphins. It'll be a 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line. There is the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins, Joe Green. That's the defensive line coach. The heart of Pittsburgh's steel curtain defense that went on to win 4 Super Bowl titles.
Well, what he's trying to do there is get the defense settled down. You know, they've given up points the last 2 times out there, so they're trying to get them down.
And a penalty marker is thrown. Pass intended for Mark Duper. He was covered by Jerry Gray. Bill, we were discussing a moment ago the difficult chore that Don Shula has in getting his club psychologically ready after playing so well and losing to the Buffalo Bills on Monday night.
Number 78, offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's Richmond Webb, the left tackle. Now, you said you had similar experiences. What would you do? How would you get your club revved up?
I think the main thing you have to do is point out to him, you know, the season's a 16-game season, but, you know, in the course of 2 or 3 weeks, if you're not ready to go, you can blow that whole 25 weeks of preparation, preseason games, early season success, 6-0. You can lose it all here in 3 or 4 weeks if you're not ready to go mentally. So I'm sure that's what Coach Shula's trying to do.
Off the tip, intercepted by the Oilers, intended for Duper. Dishman comes up with his first interception of the season. So Chris Dishman, who last year picked off 6, tied for second in the NFL, and had a streak of 7 games with either an interception or a fumble, has had some tough luck in this department, but right here was able to pick it off.
Well, there's an example, though, of maybe what the ball being a little wet and, you know, coming off the ground from the center to the quarterback. The ball's a little wet. Marino hits Duper right in the hands with the ball. Couldn't be in a better spot. And he just pops it right up in the air, and Dishman's there for an interception. Now, Jack Pardee says he's been there for a lot of interceptions. He just hasn't caught many of them, but he got that one, and now the Oilers are back in business again.
Well, they're able to take advantage of a muff by Tony Martin on a punt return, and now the interception, only the 11th time that Marino has been picked off, and now Carlson is hauled down by Lifford. Hobley has come up strong in this first half.
Well, as I said at the end of the last series, expect the Dolphins to maybe blitz a gap or two, and here's that blitz with Hobley and Cox coming up the middle. Both of them, again, it's a full 6-man rush, and the Oilers, you know, failed to pick it up, and this might turn out to be one of the big plays of the game, because, you know, if they can just stop the Oilers from getting that 17-0 lead, this defense has done its job.
Second down, 21 from the Miami 47. Carlson 8 for 10 for 56 yards. Carlson getting the protection and firing deep, but overthrows the intended receiver, Curtis Duncan, who was covered by Troy Vincent. So Carlson has his string of 6 in a row stopped.
There is no play. We had delay of game offense before the snap. Please put the clock back to 14:06. 14:06.
Well, I'm sure the Dolphins wish it was a play, because it would have brought up a 3rd down and about 21 or 2 yards to go. And I'm sure they'd rather have that than the 2nd and long, because they just had to make one play now to keep them out of that field goal range. Now they're going to have to make 2.
Yes, it's been set back to a 2nd and 26. Carlson off to the good start, taking over for the injured Warren Moon. Suffered a broken left arm last week in the game against the Minnesota Vikings. And it gone by, 2nd quarter. Houston leads Miami 10-0. Carlson, facing the rush, was able to complete to White, but picked up only 2 on the play.
Well, that's the 2nd time that Carlson has gone to the screen pass in the extra long yards. The first time being in their first drive, they had a 3rd and about 16, and they went to the screen. And now in this extra long yardage, what they're trying to do, get the ball to White with some blockers in front of them and pick up enough yards for the field goal. But that was very well defense by Miami.
And Carlson facing the pressure from the left side from Jeff Cross. And a defensive coordinator, Tom Olivadotti. 3rd down, 24 at midfield. And Carlson's pass almost intercepted by Bruce Alexander, intended for Curtis Duncan.
Well, I'm sure Don Shula's extremely happy about that series defensively, because they're on the verge of getting blown out now. The ball hits Alexander right in the hands, but he's glad to be out of there with no points. And, you know, that defensive series right there might be the catalyst to turn this thing back for the Dolphins a little bit.
And Miami with a new punt return man, Scott Miller, who is usually back there, replacing Tony Martin, who muffed that first punt from Greg Montgomery. And it's blocked. Bruce Alexander, who almost came up with the interception, blocked the punt. The Dolphins take over at the Houston 40-yard line.
Well, Alexander just coming up clean. Now, that's definitely a missed assignment on the part of the Oilers punt team. Now, I don't know exactly which guy missed his assignment, but you don't let a man run right up the middle and block the punt. You know, the quickest way to the punter is a straight line, and the guy just ran in there and blocked it.
Second time this season, Montgomery has been blocked. First down at the 40-yard line for Marino. Can't find anybody. Came up empty. Will that be called an incomplete? Yes, it will. It's an incomplete pass. Facing the Houston pressure.
Well, that's the second example, though, of a wet ball influencing the play of the game. First one, Duper tipped it up in the air. Now, Dan Marino, the perspiration and the rain, he's trying to throw it, and it just slips out of his hand.
It's been a shaky start for Marino. 0 for 4, intercepted once, and he comes off the excellent game Monday against Buffalo. He was sacked 4 times, but he went 22 of 33 at one point, completed 11 straight. Second down and 10 at the 40. That is Clayton in motion. Here's Higgs. A short pickup for Mark Higgs. Ray Childress, who is having a career season, made the stop. Ray Childress, looking to spark the club a couple of weeks ago on his radio show in Houston, had some strong statements.
Apparently it worked, too, because the Oilers are back. You know, they went on the road and got the Vikings. But, you know, if there's a big play to come up in the game here for Miami, it's right now. 3rd and 10 after that turnover. You know, you'd like to think you could take advantage of a block punt, put some points up on the board. And this is a real big play for the Dolphin offense right here.
It's a 3rd down and 9 from the 39-yard line. And Marino again incomplete. Intended for Clayton. So Marino is 0 for 5. The Dolphins are hearing the boos here at Joe Robbie as they will be forced to punt.
Well, Dan Marino had a little pressure on him that time. One of the Oiler defenders just ripped on his shirt just as he was about to release the ball, and you know that knocks the quarterback's rhythm off. But you know, that was a golden opportunity for the Dolphins, and it just went by the boards. And you have to credit the Houston defense for coming in and playing a very good defensive series.
And Reggie Roby, who had a 57-yarder in his first punt, pops one high and far into the end zone. So they bring it out to the 20. That'll go down as a 39-yard punt, but Houston will start from its 20.
Nobody pushed Mike Utley around as an offensive lineman for the Lions. Then suddenly last year, a freak injury ended his career and left him paralyzed. On a day our nation gathers to give thanks, see his courageous and uplifting story. An NFL Live exclusive, Thanksgiving Day on NBC.
Well, Dan Marino checking upstairs, but the stat line 0 for 5 Zippo to this point. We're early. Second quarter, Marv Albert with Bill Parcells from Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. Houston with a 10-0 lead, and they have a first down at the 20. White to the 25-yard line. Lorenzo White has run so well in this first half. Jeff Cross made the stop. 8 carries, 55 yards for White.
Yeah, but it's the case of the Dolphin defense being in position to make the play. That's the second time Lifford Hobley had a clear shot at White on the line of scrimmage and just missed the tackle. Now, you know, as a defensive coach, you can put your players in position to make the play, but they've got to make the play when the time comes. And in that case, that's just 5 yards that didn't have to happen.
It's a 2nd and 4 at the 26-yard line. 89 Slaughter lines up in the slot. Carson's pass deflected. Loose ball picked off. Troy Vincent with the interception. Riggs had deflected it, and Miami with a excellent opportunity to get back into it.
Well, this is the second opportunity they've had here in the last couple of minutes, and you know, they're not going to just keep coming. And there's one of those stationary passes again, but it's deflected, and Troy Vincent, the outstanding rookie for the Dolphins, comes up with the interception. And there you see the ball being deflected by David Griggs, number 92, on the pass rush and right to Vincent. He out-wrestles Curtis Duncan for the ball, and now the Dolphins have a definite scoring opportunity again.
Troy Vincent with a second interception, winning that jump ball. And it's a first down at the 18-yard line for Miami. 83 Clayton comes across. Back to the ground, Higgs. Lamar Lathan cutting to his right to make the stop on Mark Higgs.
Well, David Griggs, number 92, he jumps right up in Carlson's face, gets his left hand on the ball there. The ball kind of spirals like a pass, and then it's a jumping contest between Duncan and Vincent wins that one, just like Jeffries won the other one.
Troy Vincent, first-round draft pick of the Dolphins, 7th overall pick. First of 2 first-rounders for Miami, 2nd and 8. Here's Marino, and he's hit. He fumbled. It's recovered by Jeff Dellenbaum, the right tackle. So that will go down as the first sack of the day for Houston against a man who is difficult to get to.
Well, Houston pass rush is coming up big. They're Fuller, number 95, on the left side, and just comes in, and Marino was trying to go underneath to his fullback, Tony Page, who's been kind of a safety valve and a real key receiver on the short pass for the Dolphins this year, but Fuller just knocked the ball out.
It sets it back to a third down, 13 at the 21. 9.5 remaining in the second quarter. Marino, incomplete. Bobby Humphrey was being led by that bullet pass, but he could not make the reception.
Well, you sense Dan Marino getting a little frustrated here, and I don't blame him. That ball's right there. Bobby Humphrey has Lamar Lathan beat, and, he might score on that play if he catches it. But there are 2 opportunities for the Dolphins to put 14 points on the board, and now they're going to have to settle for 3 at the most. And, they've got to be a little disappointed on the sideline offensively.
It'll be a 38-yard field goal attempt for Pete Stoyanovich, who last week hit 2 out of 3. Hit from 50 and from 21, missed from 35. Stoyanovich feels he's in a slump, although 4 of his misses have been from 50 plus. This one is right through. So Miami gets 3 out of it, and they are trailing by the score of 10-3.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right. By Black & Decker, the source of powerful gift ideas. By New Hager wrinkle-free cotton pants. 100% cotton, 0% wrinkles. And by Prestone. It stops the rust that stops your car.
73,000 on hand at Joe Robbie Stadium. Dan Marino talking with the quarterback's coach, Gary Stevens. It has been a non-productive start. Dan Marino, who could not be happy with that last pass that went through the hands of Bobby Humphrey. 0 for 6 for Marino, as the Dolphins had to settle for the 38-yard field goal, and Stoyanovich now with the kickoff to the combination of Tillman and Coleman. Coleman back at the 1, out to the 10, 20, and reaching close to the 25-yard line. Pat Coleman, 5'7", second-year man from Mississippi, brought down by Bernie Parmalee. And Cody Carlson and the run and shoot back to work with a 10-3 lead, and they'll start out from the 24-yard line.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Carlson responds here, because in actuality, in terms of offensive adversity, he just had his first little adversity as a starter with that interception. So, we'll see if that makes him a little tentative as he finishes up the second quarter here.
He has been the perennial backup to Warren Moon for the most part. He's done mop-up duty, but he's played well, in particular the last couple of weeks when he's had to come on. Able to complete to Jeffries for a first down. And Hayward Jeffries with his second reception. That goes for 13.
Well, Jeffries just hooking up in front of the defender again. The stationary catch, but this time he's able to elude J.B. Brown and make some positive yardage after the catch. And, he picks up 10 instead of 5.
It is a first down at the 38-yard line. Will Jeffries last year led the NFL, 100 receptions, leads the AFC in catches this season. There's White. Picked up only 2. It sets up a 2nd down and 8 at the 40-yard line. Well, tonight on an all-new Secret Service New York 1980 Assassin's Target, Ron Reagan Jr. The plot to kill the president's son and how it was foiled, followed by an all-new eyewitness video and then an NBC world premiere miniseries inspired by the true story. It's called Deadly Matrimony, starring Brian Dennehy and Treat Williams. That's tonight, right here on NBC. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells from Miami. 2nd down and 8. Houston from the 40-yard line. They lead Miami by the score 10-3. White again. He gets to the 44 in advance of 4. It'll be a 3rd down and 4 coming up. Chuck Klingbeil made the stop. Chuck Klingbeil, the nose tackle in his 2nd year out of Northern Michigan. Bill, in high school, he was a hockey star, but he turned to football. He actually compares playing nose tackle to that of being an NHL goon or an enforcer. Said there's a lot of similarities.
Well, he looks like a nose tackle. I saw him in practice yesterday, and I didn't have any trouble recognizing who he was. There's only one that looks like him out there.
It's a 3rd and 4 at the 44. Carlson right on target for the first down with Curtis Duncan, stopped by Troy Vincent, and that goes for 11.
Well, this is one of those passes now that the Oilers have run so successfully in the past. They're blitzing. Miami's blitzing. Oilers pick it up well, and there Curtis Duncan now catches the ball on the run with the defensive player Troy Vincent on his back, and he doesn't gain too much, but that's the style of offensive reception that the Oilers would like to get more of, catching that ball on the run and make more yards after the catch.
First down at the Miami 45. Houston with a 9th first down of his first half. 6 minutes remaining in the half. Carlson, look out, he's brought down and goes incomplete. A hit by Marco Coleman, but Carlson was able to get rid of the football.
Well, Marco Coleman, I think is one of the new, rookie sensations here in Miami, and they know he's a little bit small to be a defensive lineman, but Don Shula and Tom Olivadotti both told us how explosive a football player he is and that he can play every down for any team in this league. And you see that quick, explosive pressure he gets there. He's a good pass rusher. He's a good run defender. And they can even drop him off and let him cover somebody every once in a while.
Well, he's kind of a hybrid defensive end linebacker converted from the linebacking position. Rookie from Georgia Tech. Double pass for White with protection. Has a first down and more. Beautiful running by Lorenzo White inside the 25. Cross made the stop. White for 21 more.
On that particular play, there is Marco Coleman, and they let him rush. That's a real good call by Kevin Gilbride. Coleman just made a sack. He's all pumped up. He rushes hard. Now they take advantage of his inexperience where he comes up, and they throw it to Lorenzo White on the screen. And that is a really good recognition on the part of Kevin Gilbride, Houston's offensive coordinator.
A first down for the Oilers at the Dolphin 24-yard line. White fumbles, and he's able to recover. Lorenzo White on the recovery.
On that last play, though, that's the little things that go on in the NFL that a lot of people don't see or realize. They see Coleman make that play. They know he's all fired up and going to rush real hard, so they use his experience and aggressiveness against him. Now there you see White fumbling and recovering it, but they used Coleman's enthusiasm against him on that play before.
Now Jeffries to the left, Duncan, White, 4 wideouts in the run and shoot. Slaughter in motion, 2nd and 10 at the Miami 24. Carlson off the mark, but sailed high on Jeffries, who was covered by Brown. And Ernest Givens headed back to the tunnel, to the dressing room. Went down with a sprained ankle earlier. The indication is that he will return later on today.
Well, you know, if he's going to return, I don't know what he's doing going to the dressing room.
Still getting on Ernest Givens. We'll check that out for you.
Well, you know, if a guy's going to return, they usually don't send him to the dressing room. They're not playing in there, Mark.
They have other matters to take care of. It's a third and 10 at the 24. Ninth play of the drive. And Carlson throwing for the end zone. It is incomplete. Jeffries outside the end zone.
Well, this long pass and this downfield passing is something that Miami was concerned about, and they said Carlson probably would do it, but just a little too long there. Nice catch by Jeffries, but he's past the end line. Now they're going to go for a field goal.
Fourth down.
I don't know what that penalty was. Illegal motion, I guess, and they declined it, and that's going to set up a field goal for Houston.
Yes, it was illegal motion. So it sets it to a 41-yard field goal attempt for Del Greco. Earlier he hit from 24. On the season he's 14 of 18. Nice snap handled by Montgomery. Del Greco with the line drive right through. Now Del Greco pounding it through, extending the Houston lead to 13-3. 13-3 lead with 4:09 remaining in the second quarter. That's Houston Oilers head coach Jack Pardee in his third season as Houston's head man. Said last night we're 3 plays away from being 9-1. Now here's something that you might have said, Bill, in your days. One of the best things about winning is that NBC, ESPN, the BBC, the KGB, and the FBI will go somewhere else instead of talking about what's wrong with the Oilers. They have been facing some heat in recent weeks with things not going well.
Well, I know I don't want to talk to those last 2 groups,
yes,
or the KGB or the FBI. I don't have anything to do with those guys.
How about the statement we're 3 plays away from 9-1? I know you don't believe that. You always say you are what you are. Here's Parmalee on the kickoff return. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line.
Well, you know, that's the reason why you're 3 plays away, because you haven't made those plays to make yourself something other than 6-4. You know, if you had made those plays, you would be 9-1. So, you know, to say that, I think is to intimate that maybe you're really a little bit better than your record shows. And in my experience in coaching, usually the level of play gravitates and shows itself and is exemplified by the record. The reason you're not 9-1 is you couldn't make those close plays in the close game.
The Dolphins first down at the 20. It has been an awful start for Dan Marino. 0 for his first 6. Marino with the punt could not find anyone, and then taken down for the second time. It's Ray Childress with his 9th sack of the season.
Well, you know, up to this time, I have to really credit the Houston defense and their game plan and Jim Eddy's game plan. You know, they had a little problem defensively at Houston for a while, and some of the players were talking. And, you know, so far, this game plan looks like it's got the Dolphin offense pretty well figured out to this point. They haven't really hit a significant play yet offensively.
So a career high for Childress, and coming up with his 9th sack. 2nd and 10 at the 20-yard line. Again, Marino facing the pressure. It's the 3rd sack of the day for the Oilers. Lee Williams comes up with his 6th of the year. What a half from Marino and the Dolphins.
Well, this is a nightmare, you know, and the Dolphins aren't used to, nor their fans, to these sacks. And there you see Sean Jones pressuring Richmond Webb. Now, Dan Marino just stepped up and tripped over someone there, but, you know, Richmond Webb has that little bad ankle, and it may be bothering him, and he can't plant quite as well, and he kind of got pushed into the pocket just a little bit there and forced Dan Marino to pull the ball down.
Well, going into today, Marino had been sacked only 15 times. Only the Saints and the Redskins had allowed fewer sacks. There's Marino on the roll. Look out. Oh, he took a shot. A as he was able to complete. Lamar Lathan caught him up high, and it's the first reception of the day for the Dolphins. Tony Martin with the catch.
Well, that was the most, significant plays that the Dolphins have had. Now Dan Marino's trying to get his offense going. There you see him rolling out. He hits Tony Martin on the sideline, and there's a bump by Lathan. Now Marino's into his 2-minute mode with 2:27 to go.
And a first down for Miami. First down from the 33-yard line. Marino, a nice catch for another first down. Keith Jackson with the catch for 15 yards.
Well, that's the guy that could get the Dolphins going right here. The Oilers are doing a pretty good job on the Dolphin wide receivers, and Jackson now could do some work, and Marino could get to him a little bit. That would help their offense.
Clayton with the diving attempt, and they are calling it a completed pass. So suddenly Marino is getting help from his receivers. Two very nice looking catches. First Jackson and then Clayton. 2-minute warning. We'll be right back.
His last two receptions, kind of got the Dolphin offense going. Nice catch against the zone by Keith Jackson, shoe top catch, and then Dan Marino throwing to Mark Clayton here, and he comes up with a nice low cradle body catch there, and puts the ball away. And you just can't shut Dan Marino out for very long. Hold him to no completions in 3 or 4 sacks. This guy's going to get a few yards before the game ends.
Missed his first 6. He's connected on his last 3. Just under 2 minutes remaining in this second quarter. Now to the draw for Bobby Humphrey. And has a first down at the Houston 40. Steve Jackson made the tackle.
Steve Jackson's filling in for Darrell Lewis, who's been kind of a key guy as the nickel guy for the Oilers, and now Jackson's in there, number 24.
Miami, and it's hurry up, penalty flag, blows the play dead. Minute 32 remaining in this first half. Houston 13 and Miami 3.
Number 78 offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Well, that is the left tackle, Richmond Webb.
Yeah, and that's a byproduct of a couple of these pass rushes from earlier in the game. Now Webb on the bottom of your screen there is be working against number 96 for Houston, Sean Jones, and he starts a little early, but this Richmond Webb here, I think, is one of the fine young offensive linemen in the league. And as I said, he got his ankle hurt this week in practice on Thursday, and was a little scary for the Dolphins. It looks like it might be affecting his play somewhat today, too.
Richmond has come back from the knee problems of last year. Marino able to step up and throws wrong, incomplete. Double coverage for Tony Martin, the intended receiver.
Well, Dan Marino airs it out that time, and there's an old saying in football, you'd rather be long than wrong, and I could tell just by watching Marino throw that it was going to be, a touchdown or nothing. He wasn't going to give Houston any chance.
And a flag thrown. Gordon McCarter with the indication against Houston.
Illegal contact, number 21 defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Well, Miami picks up the first down. The call against the right corner, Jerry Gray.
Well, that can only be, the contact after 5 yards down the field. There you see Gray, working up against Duper, and it's past 5 yards, and he gives him a little double push with his hands there. And, that would have been okay if it had been under 5 yards, but since it was 6 or more, you can't do that.
First down at the Houston 39. And that was broken up by the hard hit on Mark Duper by Jerry Gray.
Well, he got that one back real quick because that was good tight coverage by Gray, and he exploded right through the receiver and knocked the ball down.
Jerry Gray acquired on Plan B from the Los Angeles Rams, made the Pro Bowl 4 of his first 7 seasons at the University of Texas, the starting right corner for Houston.
Well, I remember when he was coming out in the draft, too. He was a #1 draft choice, and he was very, very well thought of by almost every scout in the National Football League.
Marino looking at a 2nd and 10. 1:20 remaining. Second quarter. Marino being pursued. Able to throw on the run and nearly intercepted. Marcus Robertson coming up from free safety. It was intended for Keith Jackson. Robertson almost had his second interception of the season. There he is, number 31 out of Iowa State. 4th-round draft pick last year. And this guy's been a pleasant surprise.
Yes, he has. But it's a little unusual to see Dan Marino rolling out this much, Mark. You know, he's been getting that pressure, and now to work against the pressure, the Dolphins are starting to roll out. And, you know, that's not something that characteristically has been Dan Marino's trademark. He's not, you know, used to rolling out a lot. And he's been out of the pocket 3 or 4 times already today.
3rd and 10. Play clock running down. Just did get it off. And fires for an open man. Touchdown. Fred Banks wide open. He beat Jerry Gray. And the Dolphins right back in it. Although they've been severely outplayed. Fred Banks in his 7th season out at Liberty with his 3rd touchdown reception. He's one of the faster players on the Dolphin roster. Now Pete Stoyanovich puts it through. And with 1:08 to go in the 2nd quarter, it is now Houston 13 and Miami 10. A wide open Fred Banks with the touchdown grab. We'll be right back.
Well, there's Freddie Banks there. He's running a route, does a little hesitation, and then goes deep. And that little hesitation move that he puts on kind of gets Jerry Gray to look in the backfield, and he thinks he's going to run an inside pattern, and instead Banks runs the go pattern. And that was an example of Gray thinking that the inside cut was coming, and Banks ran the streak or the go pattern and was able to beat him for a touchdown.
The scoring drive, 9 plays, 80 yards. Marino did it on a 3rd and 10. What a difference when you look back to Monday night. Marino opens up, hitting his first 11, going back to the previous game. He completed 15 straight, a Miami franchise record. Opens up here today 0 for 6, getting pounded, sacked 3 times, picked off, and then he's able to turn it around. And although Miami has been wildly outplayed in this first half, they're within 3 points. 1:08 to go in the half. And Stoyanovich will kick it off with a combination of Tillman and Coleman. Pat Coleman with the return to the 15, going sideline. Able to accelerate across the 30-yard line. Bernie Parmalee made the stop.
Well, on that last touchdown, you see Banks make that little hesitation there, and Jerry Gray thinks it's going to be an inside pattern, and then he kind of reaccelerates on the go, and of course Gray misread or really misguessed. You know, that's why you have to be sure you see the ball in the air when you're a defensive back. You can't guess where the ball's going to go. You've got to know where it's going before you make a reaction.
Nice kickoff return by Pat Coleman, who went for 27. Houston first down, and it's 31. Carlson could not find anyone. Facing the pressure, and runs it out of bounds. Larry Webster, number 79, had a shot. Webster, the 3rd-round draft pick, rookie out of Maryland, forcing Carlson out. Picked up 2. It'll be a 2nd and 8 at the 33.
Guys like Larry Webster, though, and Marco Coleman and Troy Vincent and those kind of guys are more athletic style of defensive players than the Dolphins have had in the past few years. And that's why you see the Dolphins improving defensively, because they've got more guys that can make more plays. To throw in Brian Cox, guys like that. You know, you're starting to build your defense.
Referees to the left. Duncan right, Slaughter in motion. Carlson getting the protection, and it's broken up. Duncan had it knocked away by Vincent. A reminder coming up at halftime. It'll be the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, and Bob Trumpy will bring you up to date. All the scores and highlights from around the league. So Bob Trumpy with a little visit to the studio today, plus Gail Gardner taking a look at the Los Angeles Raiders, who are struggling with that record of 4 up and 6 down and desperately in need of a win over Denver in the second half of our doubleheader. That's coming up at halftime. 47 seconds to go, first half. Houston 4th down and 9 at the 42. Carlson completing but short of the first down. Kerry Glenn keeping Webster Slaughter away from the marker. And for Slaughter, his first catch of the day.
Well, you can kind of sense this whole stadium now getting excited, and the Dolphins defense responding very well. And, you know, the Dolphins are back in this game now, and it looked like at one point in time that they may be blown out 17-0 here starting the second quarter, but now it's back 13-10, and they're back in the game, and everyone's excited, and now we're back playing for those wild card ramifications again.
Don Shula discussing matters with Brian Cox. Miami calling for a timeout as Greg Montgomery checks in to punt. Once again, the Dolphins going with Scott Miller as the deep man as the timeout rundown. Miami with 2 left. Houston with all 3. The last punt attempted by Montgomery was blocked with Bruce Alexander going right down the middle.
Well, you know, that being the case, I think it's an excellent time to put on a punt return because they're afraid of the block. The special teams coaches have talked about the block. Maybe Miami would give the appearance they were going to block it and then put on a good return. If they could get the ball back to the 35 or 40 with 2 timeouts, Dan Marino has time to go for another field goal.
It's a 4th down and 1 in this punting situation for Montgomery. Took a high snap. This time, no pressure. And it drifts out of bounds. Miami back in possession with 33 seconds remaining in the first half. That is only a 26-yard punt by Montgomery.
It's not a good punt, but Dan Marino has enough time now with 2 timeouts. If he could get a good, nice chunk of yardage on this first down, maybe use one of his timeouts to stop the clock, and then, you know, go for a couple short outside completions. You know, with this field goal kicker right here, you know, one of the best guys in the league, if not the best right now, you got a shot at a long field goal.
Marino starting out at the 34-yard line. Couldn't find anyone. And then fires one. Incomplete. A hit by Gray on Martin, breaking the response from the crowd after the ball went over their head. Tony Martin was in the area. 10 seconds elapsed. We're down to 23 seconds remaining in the half. And the Dolphins 2nd and 10 from their 34.
I think Dan Marino's a little upset with that pattern there. Maybe one of his receivers didn't read the coverage the way he expected him to do, and he was looking for something to happen, and as a result, he had to pull the ball down.
Marino only 4 of 13. He was 0 for his first 6, and then turned it around. As a result, the Dolphins within 3 points. Sideline pattern, that stops the clock. It's a first down. So Fred Banks, with his second catch of the day, goes for 12, made the catch in front of Chris Dishman.
Well, you would think that Dan Marino's goal would be to get the ball inside the 35-yard line. If he could just get it inside the 35, then I think Stoyanovich has a legitimate shot at the field goal. So, you know, with 18 seconds to go and 2 timeouts, you have time to get it inside the 35. You can hit this pass right here.
It's a shovel. Humphrey. And Miami will call a timeout as Humphrey brought it to the marker inside the 45. The combination of Bubba McDowell, Steve Jackson tripped him up, and the timeout taken with 12 seconds to go in the half.
you know, this is an example of a good veteran quarterback knowing just what he's doing. The shovel pass to Bobby Humphrey, who cuts it upfield instead of running laterally, which is a good choice by Humphrey. And now Dan Marino's in a position where he only needs 7 or 8 or 10 more yards, and they'll definitely make a field goal attempt. As a matter of fact, Marv, with 2 timeouts, he could even have an incompletion and throw another one and get the timeout called in time to kick the field goal. But I think what they'd really like to do is get 10 on this play and either get out of bounds or get the timeout called for Stoyanovich.
Well, right here, we're 50 plus for Stoyanovich. His previous 4 misses, 4 missing from 35 last week, were from 50 yards or more. But he has a very strong leg.
Well, he's one of the top kickers, and I think the guy has definite capabilities, as you see there, at over 50 yards. So that's what Miami will be hoping for right here.
12 seconds remaining in the half. He goes straight down the field for Jackson.
Jackson, number 88.
Covered by Tony Brown. And now 7 seconds to go in the half.
Well, that was exactly what they wanted, though, and it's just a little tough throw and catch. And you got to credit Houston's defense. Pretty good coverage. He didn't want to throw an interception, so he led him a little bit more, and Jackson couldn't come up. But Dan Marino still has time if they could make the reception and get a quick timeout.
Third down play. Marino trying to improve the field position for the field goal for Stoyanovich. So jumping at the Houston end, but no flags thrown. Marino throwing deep and throws out of the end zone. Again, double coverage, and he was looking for Banks, who caught the touchdown pass earlier this second quarter. And is it possible time has run out?
I think the Dolphins were looking for a false start or an encroachment penalty on the part of the Oilers, but the officials didn't see it. And I think Miami, you know, Dan Marino, there it is, the right tackle jumping, but apparently he either recovered or the officials didn't call it. But that's what the Dolphin coaches were complaining about right there.
Marino usually so effective in drawing people offside, and so Miami not able to go for the field goal and attempt to tie it, going for the bomb. And that's the end of the first half. We'll be back with Bob Costas in the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report after these words. Albert with Bill Parcells. Houston with a 13 lead on Miami as this third quarter gets underway. And Al Del Greco kicking it off. Bernie Connolly and Williams are back. And here's Connolly with the return. Out to the 24, but a penalty flag has been thrown. Bernie Connolly, a rookie from Ball State in Indiana, was stopped by Marcus Robertson. Referee is Gordon McCarter.
That's going to be offside on Houston's kickoff team, and I think the Dolphins will probably make them kick it again.
Double foul. Number 22 on the kicking team is offside. Number 52, receivers holding during the return. Penalties offset. Free kick.
It's Tony Brown of Houston, Roosevelt Collins of Miami called on the penalties. Right here, let's take a look at the Coors Light halftime statistics and the big number. Time of possession. Houston had it 20 minutes and 44 seconds to 9 and change for Miami. The Dolphins are very fortunate to be trailing by only 3 points.
And the Dolphins only had the ball 3 plays in the first quarter. But the other thing there that I kind of notice a little bit, you know, Miami, theoretically, the running team a little bit of sorts, only 23 yards rushing the first half. And, of course, it's all tied together. You're trying to catch up. You only have the ball 9 minutes. You haven't got time to do everything. But 23 yards isn't very much for a half of an NFL game.
And there's Cody Carlson, who has replaced the injured Warren Moon. 13 for 21, had a very strong first quarter. And 13 for 21 for the half, 112 yards. It has been a poor first half for Dan Marino, although he did pick it up late in the second quarter. 0 for his first 6. And you saw the overall stat, 6 of 17 for 99 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, missed on his first 6. There's one drop in there. Bobby Humphrey should have had one. And then hit 3 in a row and then came to life on the touchdown pass to Fred Banks. So they kick it again. And it is muffed this time by Bernie Parmalee, and he decides wisely to stay right there. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line.
Well, Parmalee there's, setting up just in the end zone. And of course, he muffs the ball, and he doesn't have to return that, and wisely he chooses to stay in. And now we'll see if Miami could get a little bit of the game's close enough now where they can go back to their original game plan, and I think we'll see what they had in mind to start the game rather than being in that catch-up mode all the way.
Mark Cooper, we're told, jammed a finger on the first half, so he is not out there right now. Banks and Martin are the receivers. Higgs gets the call. Lamar Lathan on the stop. A pickup of 3. It is a 2nd down and 7. And a injured Houston Oiler, Lamar Lathan, is down. He was set back by an injury in training camp, but has come around in recent weeks. Really came on last year, forced 6 fumbles last season, coming back from shoulder surgery in his 3rd year out of the University of Houston. An official timeout granted. We'll be right back.
Precision crafted performance by GTE, telecommunications consultant to the NFL. By Plus System. Plus marks the spot for cash when you travel at cash machines coast to coast and beyond. And by Canon. Canon cameras, so advanced, they're simple.
Back in Miami, they are still checking out Lamar Lathan. Rick Graff has run onto the field. One-time Miami Dolphins, signed on Plan B, will take over for Lathan.
Well, you see Lathan coming in there and making the tackle, and Dolphin offensive lineman Mark Dennis just kind of knees him in his knee. So it's like 2 knees coming together, and it kind of extends Lathan's knee a little bit, or hyperextends it. But from watching him walk off the field, I think he's probably stretched a little. And I'm not a doctor, but I don't think it's quite as bad. It doesn't look like that's something that is going to require surgery. Just he's probably in pain, and it's a hyperextension, but it fortunately doesn't look too bad. His knee looks pretty functional there.
Well, as soon as we get word, we'll pass it on concerning the injury. That's Rick Graff, 6-year player from Wisconsin. Spent 4 years here with the Miami Dolphins.
Well, if anybody knows the Dolphin offense, here's the guy, Rick Graff. And of course, Jim Eddy was taking advantage of his knowledge and talking to him about the offense, and Marino being able to do this and do that. Graff was telling us some stories about Marino at practice.
2nd down and 7 at the 23-yard line, and Keith Jackson on the reception, but he's stacked up by Graff.
Rick Graff, Jim Eddy was saying that Marino would come up to the line in practice, and he would say to the cornerback on the left side, "Hey, I'm going to throw the ball over here to your side," and there was nothing that the guys could do about it. He would just place the ball so accurately that the defense couldn't do anything about it. That's a little scary.
In fact, I'm coming your way. Continue to work on Lamar Lathan. I'm coming your way, and you can't stop me. I don't care if I know you're throwing this way.
That's a confident quarterback that does that.
3rd down and 2, inside handoff to Bobby Humphrey, and he's able to surge for the 1st down. Bobby Humphrey in an off-season exchange of, I would have to label them disgruntled running backs. Miami acquiring Humphrey from Denver for Sammy Smith. Humphrey missed most of last season in a contract dispute. 32 receptions coming into today for Humphrey. That's among the leaders in the AFC in terms of running backs.
And Don Shula's pleased to get him because he didn't know that he was such a good pass receiver. You see Shula's using him in his 3rd down offense as the back. And I can tell you from playing against Don Shula, unless you can catch the ball, you're not used in that role.
Well, Keith Jackson able to catch the ball for another Dolphin 1st down. Bubba McDowell on the coverage. Jackson's third catch of the day. Back to the subject of Bobby Humphrey and Sammy Smith. And you think back to the Houston-Miami game last October. That was the 8th week of the season. The Dolphins trailing by 4, a little over 3 minutes to go. And Sammy Smith fumbled on that hit by Lamar Lathan. Chris Dishman recovering in the end zone. The Oilers able to run the clock out, and they beat Miami 17-13. There were 2 fumbles by Smith. He heard it from the crowd viciously. That's Mark Higgs with a short pickup, to the point where Smith, who was very sensitive, was extremely upset and actually broke down after the game.
Well, you know, sometimes, though, a trade can be good for both guys. And I think in this case, the Dolphins are happy that they have Humphrey, and the Broncos are happy that they have Sammy Smith. So, you know, when you make a trade, that's the way you hope it works out. And that way, if you have 2 parties that are pretty well satisfied, maybe you make another trade someday.
Now, that was not necessarily the reason why Sammy Smith was traded, but it will certainly go down as a contributing factor that fans were on him right throughout the season. I didn't think he'd be able to get squared away. Completion for Clayton, and a Dolphin first down inside the 35-yard line. It goes for 16, but the benchmark game for Sammy Smith as a Dolphin will be remembered as the game against Houston and that late fumble.
And one of the reasons, though, that Dan Marino can get the ball to the wide receivers a little better are trades like that. Bobby Humphrey can catch it, Tony Page can catch it, and Keith Jackson can catch the ball. Now you can't double Duper and Clayton all the time. So you've got 5 guys offensively that can catch the ball well. Mark Higgs has been catching it pretty well. That just helps your offense, and that's why Miami's a better team right now.
First down at the 35, and Marino is deflected. It is incomplete. William Fuller, the left defensive end, getting a piece of it.
Well, Dan Marino going with a little play action pass, makes a token fake, and he's got people up in his face, and William Fuller comes in from the left side against Mark Dennis and jumps just at the last minute and gets a piece of that ball. But as I said, now I think as this game is back to a normal game and things have kind of settled down and Miami's into their stuff and Houston will be into their thing, and you know, I think as this game winds down, we're going to find out which one's the better team today here by the way it finishes, not by what happened earlier.
And penalty flags are thrown. It was Glenn Montgomery who made the move. Let's see if he was drawn off.
Encroachment before the snap. 94 defense, 5 yards, still second down.
It is called on Montgomery.
Yeah, all those defensive linemen, whenever they do something like that, though, they always point to the offensive player like he's the one that made me do it. You know, I didn't really do it myself. But that was pretty flagrant encroachment. That's what happens when you listen to the sound instead of watching the ball.
Houston with its 4th penalty of the day. 2nd and 5 at the 30. Humphrey with another first down. Tackled by Mike Dumas. So Bobby Humphrey doing it now on the ground.
You know, Bobby Humphrey, of course, has been a 1,000-yard rusher. You know, it's not like Miami got him down here to be the 3rd down pass receiver. He has the ability to be a rusher also.
And Miami in the hurry up on first down. Mark Higgs stopped by Sean Jones. He picked up 3. That's Bobby Humphrey in his 4th season out of Alabama. He's averaging about 5 yards per carry.
Well, I think you'll see an expanded role for Humphrey. The more he fits in here, he's a talented player. Don Shula recognizes that, and I can tell you, Don Shula knows how to use talent and has for many, many years. And he'll involve Humphrey in a lot of ways other than what he's being involved in right now.
Shula telling us yesterday that he's been pleasantly surprised by Humphrey. That he's better than he thought he was because of the great instincts that he has. Marino able to spin away, flag throw, touchdown! Humphrey wide open, but a penalty marker is thrown in the Miami backfield, a hold against the Dolphins. So they will bring it back.
Well, that was an improvisation play made by Dan Marino.
Number 69, offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
That's Keith Sims, number 69, the left guard. And, you know, that's when you're an offensive lineman, you really hate to get a holding penalty anytime, but when it costs your team a touchdown, and then, you know, the other 10 guys in that huddle, they kind of look at you, and, you know, most of the time you get a holding penalty, they'll say, hey, that's okay, let's go, you know, hang in there, don't get down. But when it costs you a touchdown, most of the time they don't just say anything, you know. And they know you know, and you know they know. And it's not a real comfortable situation for a few players.
It's a 2nd and 18 at the 28. 9.5 remaining. Third quarter. Miami down by 3 points. Humphrey inside the 20, stopped by Eddie Robinson. It has been an offense here in the third quarter featuring Bobby Humphrey. Don Shula telling us after practice that, pointing out in Denver, they used him differently, not as a receiver the way Miami has used Humphrey, because Denver has Steve Sewell in that role, but Shula said that Humphrey has additional talents, and he is trying to exploit all of those talents.
Well, Humphrey was basically an I-back in Denver, or a one-back runner, and that was his role there, and he did that very well. But this shows the versatility of the player. He's doing a different role down here, and he's doing it just as well.
Third down and 8. And it is whistled dead. Flag has been thrown.
False start before the snap. Number 78 offense, 5 yards, still third down.
Well, once again, it is Richmond Webb hit with the penalty.
Well, that's his second one today. You see him on the bottom of the screen here, just setting a little soon in anticipation of Sean Jones' pass rush. And, you know, Don Shula's a guy that doesn't like penalties, and he's upset by that. And I don't blame him, because you know, you've taken a 3rd and 8, now you make it 3rd and 13, and all you got to do is look at the stats, and you know that converting 3rd and 13 is a lot more difficult than 3rd and 8 ratio-wise.
Richmond Webb was assessed 3 penalties against Buffalo on Monday night. As you say, been hit with 2 here today. Third down play, and Marino had difficulty releasing.
I think Dan might have tried to pull that ball back a little as he was trying to throw it. He might have changed his mind, and you see him setting up there in the pocket, and then he double clutches it, and then it looks like he changes his mind right at the last minute, as I thought. The ball kind of just goes down in the ground there. Sometimes you can avoid an interception by doing that, so that wasn't necessarily a bad play by Dan Marino.
And here's a 40-yard field goal attempt by Stoyanovich. 15 of 16 from inside the 50. And he's tied the game. So Pete Stoyanovich working his way out of what he labeled a mini slump. Houston and Miami even at 13. Get off a injury rundown. Lamar Lathan, who hurt his knee moments ago, suffered a knee bruise, we're told. His return is questionable. Another injury suffered by the Oilers, starting left tackle Don Maggs with a thigh contusion, and it's said that he's out for the game. And Ernest Gibbons, who went down early with a ankle problem, according to the x-rays, came up negative, but he will not return.
Well, that's 3 big guys, you know, out, and then you put Warren Moon in with that group, but you know, they didn't have him to start with. But one of the interesting things in this quarter here, Marv, so far, Miami had the ball 6 minutes and 44 seconds on that drive, and they had it only 9 minutes the whole first half.
Kickoff return by Pat Coleman. We're coming up on 8 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Coleman brought down by Bruce Alexander. And a flare-up. Third man in rule does not apply for only National Hockey League tactics.
Marv, you lose me when you start talking about hockey. Completely lose me. I don't even know the names of the teams.
Now you're lying.
No, I really don't. I don't know many. I know there are some that play around where I live, but
that's good. All right, first down from the 29-yard line. Marv Albert, Bill Parcells from Joe Robbie. Capacity crowd, 73,000 on hand. Miami Miami battling its way back into it. They're tied with Houston now at 13. Cody Carlson for the injured Warren Moon throwing on first down and completes to Haywood Jeffries short of the first down. J.B. Brown, the right corner, on the coverage.
Well, there's a good job of Cody Carlson and Haywood Jeffries. Again, another stationary pass, but you know, one of the ingredients that you have to have in the run and shoot offense if you're going to be successful is patience. And if you're not patient and you try to force things that aren't there, you're going to just wind up with a mess of turnovers and a lot of lost ball games. So Cody Carlson's doing a good job, and Warren Moon would always do a good job showing patience in this drive.
So number 77, a left tackle. That's Kevin Donnelly replacing the injured Don Maggs. 2nd and 1. Inside handoff for White. They try to develop the draw, but it did not work. Clifford Hobley was right there, and it is a loss on the play.
Well, Clifford Hobley missed a couple tackles the first half, but he sure made a good play. There you see him blitzing into the center of the line there, and shakes off the block of Doug Dawson, number 66 for the Oilers, and makes a nice tackle on White. Now, as I said, he'd missed a couple in the first half, but he ensured that tackle with a nice wrap-up that time.
Houston losing 3 on the play. 3rd down 4. Back at the 35-yard line. Probably did have a couple of sacks, though, in that first half. Just under 7 minutes remaining. 3rd quarter. Carlson with the protection, throwing downfield for Leonard Harris. So Leonard Harris able to combine for a 43-yarder with Cody Carlson, and he did it against Kerry Glenn.
Well, that's just straight man-to-man coverage, and Kerry Glenn's playing inside position against Leonard Harris, and he goes to the corner on what we would call a flag pattern or a corner pattern, and it's just a foot race, you know, and Harris wins it. And that was a case where Miami kind of changed up their defense and was in a straight man-to-man, which is a little unusual for them. And there's an example of a guy catching the ball on the run and how it results in big yardage.
First down at the 22 in Miami territory. Sideline pattern for Duncan. Stopped by Vincent. So Curtis Duncan with his 3rd reception. Curtis Duncan coming into today's 2nd in the AFC in receptions behind Haywood Jeffries. A guy with excellent hands. Looked like he came up hobbling in his 6th season out of Northwestern. Curtis able to work it off.
And he's working against the rookie Troy Vincent. He was hoping to use his experience against Vincent's inexperience in an effort to maybe get open a couple times today.
2nd down and 3 at the Miami 15. Lorenzo White putting away from a tackle, and he is stacked up short of the first down. Good help from Brian Cox to get him down.
Miami's defense is very active and, you know, appears to be athletic. They have pretty good pursuit, and Lewis Oliver was in on that play. And, you know, White looks like he has the corner here. You see an effort being made by Coleman to get him there, and then here comes all these Miami guys, and that's real good pursuit. That's what you like to see.
3rd down and 3 at the 15. Miami defensive coordinator Don Oliver in his 6th season with the Dolphins. Carlson completing at the marker to Leonard Harris. Let's see where they spot it. It is a first down.
Well, in that particular case there, what Houston likes to do is they put that 2nd and 3rd receiver together, anticipating man-to-man coverage, and then just break off and kind of cross them and make the defensive back go behind them and make the play. And that's what happened there. And that was a real good play call by Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator for the Oilers.
It's a 1st and goal just inside the 10. Long deep back, Lorenzo White, who had an excellent first half. White stopped up the line, Number 92, David Riggs, four-year man from the University of Virginia, very physical player, and his strength is against the run.
Yeah, but Griggs is a big, strong linebacker that it's kind of like the guys that I used to like to have. We had players that looked like him, Byron Hunt, Andy Hedden, and along with Cox and Coleman and guys like Griggs, as I said, this is a little more athleticism on the Miami defense than in the past few years.
This is the 8th play of the drive for Houston. 2nd and goal. Inside the 10. Game tied at 13. Carlson throwing and completing down at the 5-yard line to Hayward Jeffries. A.B. Brown had the reps on Jeffries.
Now that was one of those throwback patterns that I talked about. Carlson rolling to his right, but really his intention is to throw back to the left, and you see Jeffries coming underneath, running away from J.B. Brown, and Carlson gets it to him. But, now it's 3rd and goal on the 5, and, for a long time now, Miami's defense is just trying to hold him to 3, so this is the big play.
300th career reception for Jeffries, who had 100 of those catches last season. His 5th catch of the day. It's a 3rd and goal at the 5. Good play action, and it's broken up. J.B. Brown made the play in front of Hayward Jeffries.
Well, that's the 2nd time, Carlson went to Jeffries in this exact situation. Down on the goal. The first time he threw that little fade pattern, and Jeffries caught up and caught it against J.B. Brown. And this time he tried to beat Brown with the play action and the inside slant. But this time Brown made the play, and as a result, Houston has to set up and settle for the field goal. Good play by J.B. Brown there.
This a 23-yard attempt. Del Greco hit from 24, hit from 41, angle to the right. Montgomery puts it down, and Houston has recaptured the lead. 2:29 remaining in the 3rd here in Miami. The Oilers over the Dolphins, 16-13. Taking a 16-13 lead over Miami on the field goal a moment ago by Al Del Greco. This Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Hope you tune in to NFL Live for the courageous story of Mike Utley. Last season, as many of you recall, a freak play paralyzed the Lions offensive lineman for many months now. Gail Gardner has followed his trail in an NFL exclusive. Don't miss his remarkably courageous story and his emotional return to Detroit Thanksgiving Day. That's Thursday at noon here on NBC. And the Houston Oilers will go up against the Detroit Lions. That'll be this Thursday right here at noontime on NBC. Here's the kickoff return by Bernie Parmalee, reaching out close to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, and that Mike Utley thing, too, it's a story that I followed pretty closely, too. All of us in football, are so aware of things like that, and I'm sure he's going to get a big reception back in Detroit.
Timeout has been called. 2:20 to go, 3rd quarter. Been an effective day for Dan Marino, 10 for 23, 141 yards. This a quarterback who possesses a number of weapons. Check out the Pro Bowl players that the Miami Dolphin offense can put on the field.
Well, you don't get in the Pro Bowl unless you produce, and production is the name of the game, and that's basically how the votes handled. The players look and say, hey, which guys have got the best? CC Miami has a lot of guys that have been there a lot of times.
One name not out there, Farrell Edmonds, injured reserve with a knee problem. Others are going to come off, but they're waiting another week, maybe 2. Off the roll. Marino's pass through the hands of Tony Page, being covered by Eddie Robinson.
Well, Tony Page is a guy that's really found a home here with the Dolphins. He started with the Jets and then was with the Lions, and they just didn't employ the style of attack that was suited to his ability. And he's a fullback, and he can block and he can catch. And once he came down here to Miami and fit in with Don Shula's system, they've kind of found a home, because Shula's system has always included a fullback that can block and catch. And you have one named Zonka that can run pretty good, too.
Page among the leaders in receptions in terms of running backs. A nice nice outside pattern for Clayton. Short of the first down. Clayton run down by Dishman. We're told that Lamar Lathan will not return. Suffered a knee injury earlier this third quarter, and he is out the rest of the way. He has been replaced by the former Dolphin, Rick Graff.
Well, I've been pretty impressed with the Houston cornerbacks, except for that one little nap that Jerry Gray took.
59 offense, half the distance, repeat second down.
These penalties will kill you. You know, they've had a couple false starts, the Miami offensive line, and you know they had to forego a touchdown because of the holding on Keith Sims, and now we get another holding. And you know, Don Shula's teams have invariably been at the top of the list in fewest penalties in the league, so I know that he doesn't like what's going on today.
It is a second down and 20. Back at the 10-yard line. Marino able to hit Banks, who took a pretty good punt, short of the first down. Robertson and Gray on the coverage of Fred Banks, who has emerged as a favorite target of Marino here today.
Yeah, but you want to know what separates Dan Marino from some of the other guys? It's a throw like this, standing on his own end line there. He just pumps that ball out there in no time at all to the 30-yard line, and you know, not many quarterbacks can throw the ball that far, that hard, that fast, and come up with that kind of yardage. And that's why this guy's probably going to go down after it's all over with all the records, and maybe as the greatest quarterback ever.
It's a third down and 1, and the 29, they lined up in the short yardage set, go to Higgs, and he has a first down. Running hard off the slant, penalty marker is crossed. Looks like a face mask on Marcus Robertson, the free safety.
Face mask, number 31, defense on the tackle, 5 yards, first down.
Marcus Robertson, the free safety, you know, gets a hold of Higgs' face mask inadvertently there and drags him down. That's a penalty. Now Miami's in the freewheeling zone offensively.
5 penalties called on Houston, 5 on Miami. First and 10 at the 43 with just under 1 minute left in the third quarter. Houston 16 and Miami 13. Second back coming through Higgs. Al Smith made the stop. Miami Dolphins with a record of 7-3. Buffalo at 8-2, 1 game in front. Buffalo well in front in its game today. Miami has dropped 3 of its last 4 after opening up the season at 6-0, while Houston at 6-4. They're second in the AFC Central behind Pittsburgh. Steelers at 7-3. Of their 4 losses, of Houston's 4 losses, 3 have been the result of blowing fourth quarter leads, and here they are with the lead as we head to the fourth quarter, down to 10 seconds to go in the third.
It looks like they're going to have a chance to do it again today if they want to.
Marino able to get the play off as this quarter comes to a close. It is incomplete. Intended for Clayton. And an exchange of words between Clayton, Jackson, and Robertson. That's the end of the third. We'll be back after these messages from your local station. But this, Bill, a Houston team that has had its difficulties holding leads in the fourth quarter. You're coaching the Oilers. Not that I'm suggesting anything here, Bill. What do you tell your squad?
Well, you know, if you can't protect the fourth quarter lead, you're just not going to be a very good team. And, you know, you got to start winning some of these games in the fourth quarter, or if you don't, you're not going anywhere. It's called playing under pressure, Martin. You have to play well under pressure. Now the pressure's on, both sides.
And a man who has played well under pressure, Dan Marino, completes for the first down. Once again, he hooks up with Fred Banks. Marino has been able to engineer 3 fourth-quarter comebacks this season, 21 over his career.
Well, Fred Banks coming under Jerry Gray, and you know, I'm starting to kind of get the feel in that long pass for the touchdown to Banks. Then he let that pass out on the sideline from his own end zone to Banks. and now he's working to Banks again. I kind of get the feeling that maybe Jerry Gray and Banks are the guys Marino is concentrating on right now. It feels like maybe he's found something over there, and he's going to go to it when he needs it.
First down at the 43-yard line. Marino lighting it up now, and another first down. Tony Martin on the catch in front of Bubba McDowell. So Dan Marino, who started very slowly, 0 for his first 6, turning it around, in particular late third quarter, now on to the 4.
Well, you know, he knows what he's got, as I just said, and he's going to go to Banks. Now, what Houston may try to do is they'll give Gray a little help by rolling into Banks, and that's when a guy like Keith Jackson has to come into play.
Miami a first down at the Houston 32. Marino now 13 of 27, 185 yards. Marino was looking deep, couldn't find anyone. A hard hit. A wallop issued by Al Smith on Bobby Humphrey.
Well, that time the corners were kind of waiting for that little hitch pattern that Marino had thrown, and he had to go somewhere else with the ball, and this time he went to Humphreys. And unfortunately, a guy named Al Smith, number 54 for Houston, their middle linebacker, was right there and defensed the play very well.
Al Smith emerging as a Pro Bowl starter last year. He had a terrific season. This is 6th year out of Utah State. We mentioned a moment ago Buffalo and Pittsburgh leading in their games. Buffalo over Atlanta 38-7. Pittsburgh over Indianapolis 27-7. Not good news for Houston and Miami. Oh, the catch by Jackson. Well, it is Keith Jackson, as you mentioned, coming up with another first down. Eddie Robinson, Bubba McDowell make the stop, 13 yards on the pickup. 4th catch of the day for Jackson.
Well, you see Keith Jackson, he can not only play and catch and run, but he can get everybody excited too. And that's that thing about being able to inspire others by your play. And this guy, number 88, Keith Jackson, is one of the guys in the National Football League that can do that.
Spent 4 years with the Philadelphia Eagles, signing as an unrestricted free agent with Miami back in September. In this only his 8th game, he has caught 33 balls. First down at the 19, back to the ground. Bobby Humphrey reaching down to the 15.
That Keith Jackson kept me up a few nights, I'll tell you, trying to decide what kind of player to put on him in man-to-man defensive situations. We tried safeties, and then he would push them out of the way, and then we tried linebackers, and he would outrun them, and pretty soon we decided, well, we just have to try 2 guys all the time.
We were talking about Keith Jackson with Bubba McDowell, one of the men facing Jackson throughout the afternoon. Bubba said he'd be looking for some help. Here's Humphrey with a big hole. He's turned back short at the first down. Stopped by Mike Dumas.
It's kind of funny the way this game's going, though, Marv. You know, each team has been able to penetrate down inside around that red zone in the 10-yard area. Both of them been down here this half, but neither of them have been able to get the ball in for touchdowns. They're having to settle for field goal.
13th play of the drive. Neither team has punted in this second half. It has been a very sharply played second half. Houston up by 3. Timeout has been called. 3 decades of NFL coaching, handling the Miami offensive line. He was with Don Shula with the Baltimore Colts through the 1960s. And Bill, a man who played both offensive and defensive tackle for the Cleveland Browns and then the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and I think, Marv, that he's absolutely the best offensive line coach in the National Football League. He's a guy I have admired for a long time.
It's a 3rd down and 3. Marino sidearms it, and it is deflected. Looked like Childress got a piece of it.
Both defenses have been able to come up with these kind of plays. There's Ray Childress, number 79, for the Oilers, deflecting that Dan Marino pass, and of course this sets up the Miami field goal. Now this whole half has just been one team driving for a field goal, and now the next team driving for a field goal, and then Miami driving for another field goal. So that's what we've seen. It's kind of like mirror images here.
29-yard attempt. Stoyanovich has hit 2 of 2 today. And he has just tied the game at 16. 11:25 remaining in the fourth quarter.
NFL on NBC is brought to you by Starter. Look for the stars and you'll find Starter. By Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By the Business Services Division of NCI. And by Samsonite. Our strengths are legendary.
Back at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami, where the sun is back out. It did rain on a couple of occasions during the first half. Pete Stoyanovich with a 29-yard field goal to tie the game at 16.
Stay behind him.
Stoyanovich and Del Greco have each connected on 3 of 3. 11:25 to go in the fourth quarter. This is an enormous game for both teams. In particular, when you look at the rest of the schedule, here's Spencer Tillman on the kickoff return. He was ankle tackled as he crossed the 15-yard line, taken down by James Saxon, a backup running back. Tillman is hobbling off the field. Back to the subject of John Sandusky, and you mentioned you feel he is the best offensive line coach in the business.
Yeah, he's been around a long time, and I know whenever I drafted some younger offensive linemen, John Elliott and Eric Moore, I went to that gentleman right there and asked him if he could just tell those linemen one thing about pass protection, what would it be? And he said, tell him to get in front of the guy. And that was a beginning for me and a way to start teaching my players. And he's a guy I've always respected a tremendous amount.
On the 19-yard line on first down, Leonard Harris making the catch, covered by Bruce Alexander. We're set for an update. Let's go to Bob Costas.
Marvin, the game most of our audience will see is the second half of the doubleheader. John Elway, seen here warming up a while back at the Coliseum in L.A., will not be able to go for the Broncos today with the ailing shoulder. He's active for the game only because he's their backup holder. But he's only going to play if Tommy Maddox, who will start, gets hurt, and then if the backup Sean Moore goes down, only then will we see Elway. Back to Miami.
All right, Bob, back in Miami, a second down and 4 at the 25-yard line. Lorenzo White tried to accelerate, but he stopped. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Lifford Hobley making the tackle. Well, coming up next on most of these stations, there'll be more NFL football action, as Bob just told you. It will be Tommy Maddox, who had a terrific game last week and coming on for John Elway, going up against the Los Angeles Raiders. Some of you will see the Jets and the Patriots. Third down and 4 at the 25. We come up on 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And Carlson goes incomplete. Houston will be forced to punt. The pass intended for Webster Slaughter.
Well, Miami took a chance and blitzed them that time, and it was straight man-to-man across the board, but the coverage was too tight. Carlson had to throw it away. Now Houston's defense has to see if they can do just what Miami's defense did, and that is stop Miami with decent field position here.
And this the first punt of the second half. Greg Montgomery had one blocked earlier. Punting to Scott Miller. Miller with terrific speed. The first has to pick up the ball and barely covered up on it. Mike Dumas downfield in a hurry. It's a 38-yard punt by Montgomery. Miami will go back to the offense.
Well, Scott Miller just, fumbling the ball and finally picks it up and doesn't make any kind of a return, but Miami has good field position.
9:48 to go, fourth quarter. Houston and Miami are tied at 16. Dan Marino and the Dolphins first down at the 39-yard line. Marino off the roll and throws deep down the field, intended for Mark Clayton. He was double covered by Jerry Gray and Marcus Robertson.
Well, that was a bootleg pass, and Keith Jackson was the primary receiver, but he was covered also, so Dan just decided to throw one of those long ones again.
Miami turning it around in the second half after the invisible offense in that first half. And Bill, it's a day that has seen very little productivity from the combination of Clayton and Duper. Duper bothered by a jammed thumb that was suffered earlier. They combined for 10 catches Monday night against Buffalo. They've combined for only 2 thus far today. Second down and 10. Marino to the sideline. Incomplete. Gray providing the coverage on Banks.
Well, what Jim Eddy and the Houston defensive coordinator is doing here is he knows Marino was after Banks here, and he's trying to give Gray some help. So he lets Gray play Banks short, and he gives him safety help deep, and he's trying to help his corners on Duper and Clayton. And that's why I said a few minutes ago that now Keith Jackson or one of the backs has to become the focal point of the passing game, because he's going to do that until Jackson gets involved.
It's a 3rd and 10 at the 39. Marino 14 of 33, 199 yards. And it is whistled dead.
Delay of game, offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
You know, this is very uncharacteristic of a Dolphin team, particularly offensively. You know, some of the false starts and a couple of the holding penalties, and now a delay of the game, you know, and these are things that Don Shula's not used to seeing on the part of his offense.
Well, how about that giant Eagles score that just went by? Eagles have won 7 of the last 8 against the Giants coming into today. Giants won with 20-6 lead.
Well, the Eagles got a good football team, and right now the Giants are struggling.
Marino brought down for the 4th time, and a flag is thrown. Sean Jones quickly into the Miami backfield.
All right. Holding, 78 offense, penalty declined, 4th down.
That was all no good from the Miami point of view. Again, it is Richmond Webb. That's the 3rd call against him this afternoon.
You know, and I'm not making excuses for Richmond Webb, number 78 on the top of the screen there. It's a clear case of holding, but he did turn his ankle. He's out there trying to play, and you know, a lot of times when a player isn't 100%, particularly at that spot, left tackle, against those pass rushers, it's difficult to function at your level of ability, and that's why Webb is struggling today, I can assure you.
Yes, so Richmond Webb in his 3rd NFL season is 2 for 2 in terms of making it to the Pro Bowl. 4th sack of the day for Houston. Fuller, Childress, Williams, and Jones have come up with the sacks.
The penalty was declined. The quarterback was sacked. It is 4th down at this spot.
A little review by Gordon McCarter as Reggie Roby drops back to punt. 2 weeks ago, Reggie Roby made his return from injured reserve. He'd been out with a knee problem since mid-September. Still not moving the ball on a consistent basis. Did get a good one off earlier at 57 yards. This is line drive. Slaughtered. Return. Running it out. 48-yard punt. 17-yard return. And Oilers and Dolphins talking it over in animated fashion. In straight game, Dan Marino has been sacked 4 times. He has never been sacked more than 4 in one game. That's 19 for the season, which is a low number. Only the Saints and the Redskins allowed fewer sacks. But Houston has taken over. Game tied at 16. 9:14 remaining in the 4th quarter. Cody Carlson from his 41-yard line. Lorenzo White. A stop. Short pickup by White. We're set for another update. Let's go back to Bob.
Marv, at Minnesota, the Vikings trailed the Browns 13-0 at halftime. Todd Philcox replaced an ineffective Mike Tomczak at quarterback in the second half for the Browns. His pass through the hands of a potential receiver into the arms of Audrey McMillan, who brings it back 25 yards for the go-ahead TD. Minnesota leads in the 4th, 17-13.
Thank you, Bob. Second down at 10 at the 41. Back in Miami. With 8.5 to go in the fourth quarter. Houston and Miami are tied at 16. Carlson completing, but short on the first down. Connects with Curtis Duncan. Bryant Cox making the stop.
Well, that's another one of those throwbacks. Carlson rolling to his left and Duncan coming underneath from the right side, and Carlson setting up, but his whole intention was to throw back to start with. So that's one of the big tendencies that Houston has, is to roll one way and throw back the other way.
Well, Carlson overall is 20 for 30, 195 yards. Had a good first quarter despite the impressive looking stats. He has not been effective in the second half. And that is a first down. Curtis Duncan stopped by Troy Vincent. Duncan with his 5th reception.
Miami tried to blitz again like they did on the past third down, where they had some success, but this time Houston picked it up and gave Carlson enough time to throw, and he was able to find Duncan. You see number 29 Hobley being blocked by Lorenzo White, which gives Carlson enough time to get the ball to Duncan for the first down.
Well, some call him Commander Cody. Cody Carlson, 6th year out of battle, holds a host of battle passing records, making only his 8th NFL start. First down to 43, mixing it up with the handoff to White. Good run by Lorenzo White. Has a first down. Vincent on the stop. 17 carries, 75 yards for White.
An example, too, of just a few pass completions can loosen the defense up and helps the running game get going again. Now, we have really a total absence of the running game the second half of Houston, but just those couple of pass completions have enabled Lorenzo White to kind of get back involved in the game from a running capacity.
Another terrific all-around day for White. Not the case last week against the Vikings. First down for 32. Carlson had it knocked out of his hand. Jeff Cross going for the ball, but it's covered up by Houston.
He was trying to throw back again, sprinting to his left and turning back, then throwing to the right side. You see him sprint to the left, set up, and then turn back, and the receivers are covered on the backside. He just has nowhere to go with the ball. So credit the Miami defense, and particularly Jeff Cross, and knocks the ball loose, but right back to Carlson.
A loss of 7. 2nd and 17 at the 39.
This is the screen situation that he used earlier in the game. 2nd and real long.
There he goes, sideline, incomplete. The pass intended for Duncan, covered by Vincent.
Well, just like Dan Marino kind of had Freddie Banks going for a while, I think Cody Carlson is trying to use Curtis Duncan against the rookie Troy Vincent for the Dolphins, and that's why you see the ball going over there to Duncan the last few plays. I think Carlson has found that, and he likes it.
We talked with Curtis Duncan yesterday about Cody Carlson. He said, well, he may lack in experience, but he's such an intelligent quarterback. And Carlson has done well when he's come on for Warren Moon, but now this is his ball club. He is the starter. Moon will be out anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. Big play here, 3rd and 17. And Carlson floats one. That is picked up. Intercepted by Bruce Alexander. What a day for Alexander. Earlier, blocked a punt, and now an interception.
Well, this is just a great play. He's completely extended out and has the presence to get both feet down to allow the interception. You know, if that other foot had gone out, then it wouldn't have been an interception. But he has the presence extend, catch the ball, put it away, get control, and he gets both feet in nicely.
Alexander, a 4-year player from Stephen Austin, acquired on Plan B from the Detroit Lions. It gives the ball back to Miami from their 23. Humphrey fighting for the yardage, reaches to the 26-yard line. There is Bruce Alexander. That's his first interception of the season. It's a 2nd down and 6 at the 27.
And he's from Stephen F. Austin, and of course that's right near Houston, so I'm sure there'll be a little bragging going on if that interception enables the Dolphins to come back and win. You know, they'll be talking about that down there at the Oiler complex in the offseason.
Early down to throw, Humphrey able to break tackles. Picks up the first down and some additional yardage, but let's check out the flag. Eddie Robinson made the stop. Humphrey running for 14 yards.
Double foul, offside defense, 97, holding, offense, 69, the penalty's offset, replay 2nd down.
Well, number 76, Jeff Ball was offsides, and number 69, Keith Sims, has a hold of him there. And you know, it's difficult to call an offsetting penalty of that nature. You know, the guy's into the offensive player before he's supposed to be, and then they call the offensive player for holding. You know, that's a tough judgment there by the official.
It's a 2nd and 6. And Marino's pass incomplete. There are 2 receivers in the area, both Clayton and Jackson.
Well, they were trying to pick off each other that time, and one was clearing and the other was coming under very quickly, and that was the design of the play. But it was played very, very well there by the Houston defender. I believe it's number 24, Jackson, who comes in front and strips Clayton of the ball very nicely.
4:34 remaining in the 4th quarter. Houston and Miami are tied at 16. Marino now 14 for 34, 199 yards. Looking at a 3rd down and 6 from the Miami 27. Handled the low snap. And it's intended for Jackson. Tony Brown defending on the play.
Well, Houston's pass defense, I really think, other than that one big play to Banks for the touchdown, I think Houston pass defense has done an excellent job today against the Dolphin receivers. And there it is. Jackson's running the pattern, and Brown's with him, and Dan Marino throws a good pass, and Jackson's able to catch it, but Brown knocks it down, and that's just good pass defense.
Well, here is Roby moving one deep for Slaughter. Webster Slaughter across the 35-yard line. A 54-yard punt by Roby. It looks like he has regained his touch. 16-yard return by Slaughter.
Yeah, and this brings up the situation here for the Oilers. They have pretty good field position, and you know what you want to do is you would like to drive the ball progressively down the field in position for the winning field goal, but at all costs, Houston has to avoid the big mistake, particularly in their own territory, so that they don't give the Dolphins the chance to win it.
Houston using one of its timeouts. Miami has all 3 left. Oilers from their 36-yard line. He threw House in motion. Carlson setting up the screen. Lorenzo White with the running room for the first down. Lewis Oliver up from free safety to make the stop, but White went for 24 yards.
Well, that's a very, very, very big play for the Houston offense at this juncture of the game. The screen has been employed pretty effectively today. It led to the first drive score for the Oilers, and here it is, possibly setting up the winning touchdown or field goal. Real good play selection by the Oilers there.
And the native of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Lorenzo White has come home and has had a sensational day. He's done it on the ground, 75 yards, 5 catches for 64 more. First down at the 40 in Miami territory. Game tied at 16. Carson looking right, now left, could not find anyone, and runs by himself to the 31. So Haywood Jeffries at the near side trying to get his attention. He was open for just an instant. Kerry Glenn made the stop. Jeffries calling for the ball, but Carlson decided to run.
Well, you never know what Carlson's seeing back there with all those linemen in front of him, though, and rather than make the big mistake, he elects to pull it down. I think that's a good choice on his part, because you don't want to jeopardize your team's opportunity to win, and right now the Houston Oilers have the opportunity to win the game.
They've called for the yardsticks, very close by the nose of the football.
The other thing I'm sure that Jack Pardee is thinking about now, hey, let's not, you know, we want to get it closer. We definitely want it closer for the field goal, but how much time do you want to leave a guy like Dan Marino to get the 3 points back? The best thing that could happen is that Houston could drive it all the way in for the touchdown.
It has not been a good day for Marino, but there is such respect in particular for his ability to bring a club back. First down at the 30, a reverse for Leonard Harris. Lewis Oliver made the stop. Good pickup by Harris on the reverse. He went for 8. It'll be a 2nd and 2 at the 22-yard line.
Now Dan Marino's waiting there, not too patiently by the expression on his face, but it's just a question now of Houston trying to take all the time off they can, and it's a question as to what Miami's going to let them do, and there Miami just called the timeout.
So the comeback record of Marino over the course of his spectacular career, 3 of those comebacks coming this season. Miami with a record of 7 and 3, and that very difficult stretch coming up, making today's game so significant. Next week they play at New Orleans, then at San Francisco, while Houston at 6 and 4, and they have a short week with the Thanksgiving game coming up at Detroit, then home for Chicago and Green Bay.
Yeah, Dan Marino seems to be a little upset, and I think I know what he's upset about. I think with a 2nd and 1 situation, he would have preferred that the Dolphins had not called and used that timeout, because the chances that Houston will pick up the first down here are pretty good. So I think he was upset that the Dolphins kind of wasted that timeout.
It'll be a 2nd and 2 at the 22 of Miami. Houston and Miami tied at 16. 3 field goals apiece for Stoyanovich and El Greco. We're coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. That's Slaughter in motion to the left, setting up in the slot. And off to White, stopped back behind the line. Ryan Cox on the tackle of Lorenzo White.
Well, that's a big play by the Dolphins there. Now they'll let it go down to the 2-minute warning, and hopefully they can make this 3rd down play.
Don Shula, Jack Pardee have come down to this. 2 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. Houston and Miami are tied at 16. And the Oilers with a 3rd and 3 at the Miami 23-yard line.
And the biggest play of the game without question for both teams. Miami has 2 timeouts left, but if Houston is able to convert this first down, they're going to make Miami use all their timeouts, take it under a minute, and kick the field goal and leave Marino with no time to come back.
Duncan to the right, Jeffries left, Slaughter in motion. And Carlson throwing deep, diving attempt. It is ruled incomplete. Leonard Harris with the dive of the end zone. He had his man beaten. He was working against Bruce Alexander.
The Dolphins dodged the bullet there, because it's a perfect pattern. It's against the blitz again. Hobley picked up by White. Carlson goes to the corner pattern. There it is, wide open, right in his hands. You got to catch that ball, Leonard Harris. You have to catch that one. That's the game winner right there.
And so, Al Del Greco, who is hit from 24, 41, and 23, will attempt from 41 yards away. Montgomery will hold. The kick by Del Greco is no good. Well, over the last couple of years, including this season, and we saw it in the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Oilers have had all kinds of problems with clutch kicks, final minutes of games, last-second situations, in overtime. They have not been able to come through.
Well, it's a good snap. It's a good hold. You know, there's no reason why the ball shouldn't be made, but he doesn't make it, and now the tide has turned completely. It's Dan Marino against the Houston defense that has played well all day with 2 timeouts and a great field goal kicker.
And Marino takes over at the 23-yard line. Goes over the middle to Humphrey. And he stopped at the 28. Pick up a 5. It'll be a 2nd down and 5. The clock is running. 2 timeouts remaining for Miami. We come up on a minute and a half remaining in regulation.
And Dan Marino is going to be a little cautious. He doesn't want to make the big mistake and give the ball right back to Houston.
Marino goes to the other side, completes for the first down to Clayton. Tackled by Steve Jackson. And the clock running down to a minute and 10 to go in this 4th quarter. It's a first down for the Dolphins at their 38. Remember, Stoyanovich has the powerful leg. He can kick from deep. Marino seeing the opening, running to the 42-yard line. Just under 1 minute remaining in the 4th quarter.
Well, he doesn't want to use the timeouts. I see what he's doing here. He wants to get a ball across midfield before he uses one of those timeouts. Having a little trouble with the formation here.
2nd and 6. And Marino to the sideline for Clayton. Has a first down at midfield. Jackson on the stop. And now a timeout is called with 33 seconds remaining in regulation. So, Pete Stoyanovich warming up on the sideline. He's hit 3 out of 3. He has had difficulty this season from long range. Normally considered one of the stronger legs in the game. In fact, his career high is from 59 yards out.
Well, if I had to take my chances, it would be with Pete Stoyanovich. He's an outstanding kicker, but, you know, Marv, they're not in field goal range yet. They've got to go, I'd say, another 15, probably 20 yards. I'm sure that's what Dan Marino wants, but you have to remember now he has to save this time out for the field goal. So look for Marino to start using that spike technique if they get a completion and they can't get the ball stopped, the clock stopped. He'll spike the ball to stop the clock, but he'll definitely save that one time out for the field goal if he can.
Just a moment ago, Al Del Greco, who had hit his first 3, missed from 41. That would have given Houston a 3-point lead. Instead, Houston and Miami at 16 all, 33 seconds to go, and a first down at midfield for the Dolphins. A completion to Humphrey, and looking to get out of bounds to stop the clock. Apparently he did not. Clock is running. 1 timeout remaining. Marino looking to line up, and he wants to stop the clock. He'll put the ball on the ground, I would think. No, he's going to go sideline. And the clock continues to run. And now the timeout is called with 6 seconds remaining.
And that means it's going to be a 55-yard field goal for Pete Stoyanovich. And ball's on about the 37 or 38-yard line. I can't tell exactly where it is. Well, they put it down on the 35, so It's going to be a 52-yarder.
Bill, watching Stoyanovich during the pregame warm-up, he was booming from this range. He was connecting. I know that doesn't often have a relationship to what takes place in the game.
Yeah, those pregame warm-ups are a lot different than this situation right here, where the whole fragile balance of a season can be in place. And I really think that right now for the Dolphins, you're kind of facing that kind of situation. You see the graphic there with Stoyanovich having kicked 9 field goals more than 50 yards, but those 9 don't make any difference now either. That pregame warm-up doesn't make any difference. Nothing makes any difference.
And he has missed 4 this season from 50 or more. So here it is. It'll be a 52-yard attempt. And a timeout called by Houston. They want Stoyanovich to talk it over. We have 6 seconds remaining. Game tied at 16. Coming up next on most of these NBC stations, more NFL action. You'll see either the Denver Broncos with Tommy Maddox at quarterback for the injured John Elway going up against the Los Angeles Raiders, or the New York Jets and the New England Patriots.
Well, if I was the Broncos, I'd hate to be going up against the Raiders with a rookie quarterback facing the Raiders pass rush of Greg Townsend and Howie Long and Nolan Harrison and Tony Smith and those guys. I'm sure they'll try Maddox out.
Well, Jack Pardee looking to ice the kicker with the timeout. The holder is the backup quarterback, Scott Mitchell. It is a 52-yard attempt. Stoyanovich with the boot, and it is good. But a flag has been thrown. Penalty marker is down. Stoyanovich hitting from long range, and let's see what the call is. The indication is against Houston, and Miami has won it. Depending on how much.
Personal foul running into the holder. That penalty is declined. It will be accepted on the kickoff. Miami takes the field goal. Penalty on the kickoff.
And apparently they have put 2 seconds on the clock. There are 2 seconds remaining. So Pete Stoyanovich, who had been concerned about his recent slumping ways, to him a slump, missing from 50 plus, but he comes through right here to give Miami a 19-16 lead in our Hager wrinkle-free cotton super play of the game. There it is.
Well, it's a pressure kick, and you know the difference in this game is that Pete Stoyanovich made the 52-yarder and Al Del Greco didn't make the kick for Houston. This is a well-played game on both sides, and both teams played well enough to win, but it comes down to plays like this, and Don Shula celebrating there with John Sandusky, and he knows what that win, you know, could mean to his team as he faces that tough schedule ahead.
And Marino in that final drive went 5 for 5 to get the Dolphins upfield. Certainly would have liked to have moved them even closer, but Stoyanovich able to hit from 52 yards away. He's 4 of 4 on the day. Pete Stoyanovich in his 4th season out of Indiana leads the AFC in scoring, and he is now 20 of 25 for the season.
And you know, having a field goal kicker of the quality of Pete Stoyanovich is just an invaluable resource for a coaching staff and for a team. You know, if you have one, you just feel so much better, and you just win so many more close games. And if you don't have one, you know, you just don't win those close games. And you know, that's what happened to the Oilers here a couple of times this year. They had 2 game-winning situations that we've seen ourselves, and they just haven't been able to deliver in either case.
And Houston has certainly been through this scenario on a number of occasions, not able to hit the clutch free throws the past couple of years. 2 seconds to go. Stoyanovich getting set to kick it off from the 50 because of that penalty called on Houston.
Now you'll see one of those lateral plays, you know, where they'll start lateral the ball around, and, you know, everybody gets all excited about that. I would anticipate Stoyanovich kind of kicking the ball on the ground, or maybe kicking it full out of the end zone and giving them one play from scrimmage. Probably could kick it on the ground.
Miami about to make it a record of 8-3. They'll stay pace with Buffalo. Buffalo going to 9-2. But a very difficult stretch coming up for the Dolphins beginning next week at New Orleans. And Houston will drop to a record of 6-5. And again, blowing one in the fourth quarter. So the return by Spencer Tillman. And here's the lateral throw being attempted. The official got the worst of that one. And that will do it. Miami Dolphins, after the poor start, have come from behind and defeated the Houston Oilers 19-16. Thanks to our producer, Tommy Roy, our director, John McDonough, our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Cobb. Coming up the second half of our doubleheader, you'll see either Denver and the Raiders or the Jets and the Patriots. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells saying so long from Miami.